Oh my gosh, welcome to the next video. So we've been having a discussion about the next two tools. And those tools we're actually going to make it a super tool. We're going to smush them together because we couldn't decide what comes first, the chicken or the egg, the car or the horse, the body or the get quiet. And we decided it's the body get quiet.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, I love it that we can just make shiz up. And that's permission for you to do the same. So the next super tool is the body and getting quiet. And as we were talking about how we want to present this and why would one come before the other, and really they're kind of a together thing because it's super important to be in your body. However, to be in your body, to get quiet, you've got to be in your body. Otherwise, you don't know if you're quiet because we live so much of our lives outside of our body, doing all the things out here and all the distractions and all the things so we don't have to feel. And really the purpose of getting quiet is so that you can hear what's going on inside of here. So you can recognize like, oh, I feel something. And you don't even have to be able to identify what the something is yet, but you can go, I feel something. And I feel it here in my body, or I feel it there in my body. When we were talking about the feeling your body and dynamic tension and all of those, we put together a video while we were out about feeling in your knee. And you've got to be in your body during that activity in order to tell what's going on, so that that thing that's tapping you, like wanting your attention, you actually know where to check in. And you can be quiet even inside of movement. And so I think that's part of why, in my book anyway, the body get quiet is a super tool.
Well, it just makes me think of all the places that we look outside of ourselves for answers. Like something's not feeling right, so you're thinking it's because of this ailment or that ailment, or you need this label or that label, when really it's more about checking in with yourself.
So true.
And having enough self-awareness to recognize when something's off and the patterns that got you there. Well, and it could be just the patterns of thinking.
It's almost always the patterns of thinking. Like the thought keeps coming to my mind of every physical ailment has a metaphysical cause or reason. We have different kinds of bodies. We have the physical body. We have a mental body. We have an emotional body. We have a spiritual body. And all of these things happen out here, outside of our bodies. And unless we're aware enough to catch them out here in these other bodies, it's got to get our attention somehow. And actually we catch them out here through being quiet, which means you got to have a presence inside the body. But if you don't catch them, it's going to say, excuse me, I need your attention, and you're not paying attention. And so bam, you're going to, like me yesterday, you're going to be not feeling very good at all. And or you're going to, like the knee example that we used earlier, out running. Something in your body's wanting your attention. And I love the study of the body and energy and metaphysical stuff, and how every ailment goes to a different body part. Mm-hmm. Like if your pinky is hurting for a reason, you can go look up left hand pinky, and there will be something for that. I was amazed when I learned that about teeth. Every tooth has an emotion attached to it.
In the slip disc example in the last video, that one is about taking on too much and feeling overwhelmed. And
you were talking about all the things you did for your family.
Yeah, and I had to have that experience to have that lesson, because I wasn't picking up on the signs of, I was overtired a lot of the time. I was feeling frazzled at points, like I don't have time to get things done. I was feeling frustrated. I didn't catch I totally caught them. I ignored them and just turned the other way. And I'm like trying to push through it. I noticed this with this beautiful soul in my world, where she continually tries to push past what her intuition and her body is telling her, and muscle through it. And then she inevitably gets sick, and it forces her to slow down. So she's starting to build that awareness of maybe I should not do so much, and pick up on the signs earlier. But it's not always that way. But
yeah, I have had more of those kinds of lessons than I care to recall, of just like, slow down, slow down, slow down. Okay, I'm going to slow down. We're going to cause you to break your foot, you know, or we're going to slip a disc, and so we can catch them out here, but we've got to be willing and quiet enough to recognize it, or it's going to get our attention somehow. And most people think it's just an issue of the body, because that's what we're having to take care of. And which is true. Now you are getting to take care of the body, but you also got to still remember, like, what's the bigger cause and reason.
I love that. So you introduced me to a really great book by Ines. I can't remember the name, but I'll put it in the resource section. But
Louise Hay also has a great resource on that.
Yeah, I think it's been such a great tool. Not everything always resonates, but there are certain ones that just like slaps you in the face. And if it does nothing but give you awareness to something emotionally that you haven't really put attention to, I would lose my voice every 6 months or so, and I'd have like little to no voice for a couple weeks. And when I look that one up, it's like that I'm not using my voice, that I can't remember all the things of that, but it just made me be more aware of like, speak up for yourself, Leah. Don't just go with what everyone else wants. Like, make sure that you're putting in your 2 cents too, and contributing and being a part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm. And what's cool is this isn't a new body of work. This stuff's been around for a while. Like some of the other books and people who've studied this are The Body Keeps a Score. His name is right here, but it's not coming. And Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. So this stuff has been around for a while. Again, we'll put it in the resources so that you can look them up for yourself if you would like. But just how you've got to become aware of body and what it means and what it actually means. That's the bigger purpose, and getting quiet is part of that. So, Lee, let's talk about like some of the ways, like what are some of the tools or ways that you yourself get quiet, and what it does for you that we can share with our students.
So one of my we always hear about meditation. Sometimes that one can be tricky for a lot of us.
Don't make me meditate.
Yeah. But there's ways to move through that, because I don't believe that you have to be sitting and in a quiet space all the time. A meditation for me is often writing, just like stream of consciousness, no judgment. It doesn't have to be anything for anyone else. Just letting myself write so I can see what's going on in here. Especially when I have a lot of chatter or I can't sleep at night. That seems to be one that my mind feels like, okay, you've paid attention to this. Now I can leave you alone. A big one for me was biking or running. That was I would just get into a flow, and you just feel like you can keep going and going. And what else? Oh, painting. Painting's a big one for me, where I can just get lost in what I'm doing, because I don't have a lot of attachment to the outcome, and I just let myself do whatever it is I need to do.
Well, and there's I love that you're bringing up the more active ways to be in a meditative state. For myself, that happened. I remember the first time I was like, I am going to be a meditator. And I probably had that pious, is that the right word? I had that attitude about me. Remember, I was in Anna Falls, and I went down by the river, and I'm sitting on the edge, at the riverbank, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to meditate for however long I decided, 15 minutes. And I'm meditating, and I've got my legs folded, and I'm just like trying to be quiet. My mind is battering, and quiet. I'm like, oh, I'm doing so good. I've meditated probably for, like 7 minutes. And I looked, and it'd been like 90 seconds. And I'm like, oh, meditation. So I appreciate that you bring up the more active, because actually what happened for me in my world is it kind of exploded and imploded. And I decided that I was going to pick up running again because I needed a runaway from my world, from my life, from everything. But I did this really cool thing, and I ran with questions, which so then it became this meditative state for me, and I received answers like this. But what I also noticed is this is the beautiful part about meditation that I think lots of us don't understand or have an understanding of, is it's not necessarily about transcendence and all of that. It's about noticing what's coming in.
Yeah.
What are the thoughts coming in, and what are we hanging on to, instead of saying, wow, I recognize you, I see you, thank you for being here, and moving on. Whoa, you too, thank you for being here, moving on. It's the noticing of what comes in and how often it comes in, and then being able to let it go. And running did that for me. I can now actually sit and meditate. I prefer having some background noise over not, but it's a beautiful practice.
Yeah, guided meditations can be really helpful, especially when you're first starting to get into that. And if you do enough of those, your mind tends to just pick up on that kind of vibe. There will be certain times where I've listened to a certain meditation so many times, like I can actually hear parts of it, and it brings a sense of calm.
Oh, so you can hear parts of it while you're sleeping. Here's what meditation has done for me. By way of seeing all those things, it has actually allowed me to find that space of pause. So in everyday life, when shiz is coming in, and it allows me to find the quiet without actually having to go and sit down and meditate, but I can find a quiet space in me. And it's comical now because I can watch all of the things bounce around without getting attached to them. I can just notice. And this is what I would encourage you, is start the practice, start the noticing, and kind of pay attention to like who's noticing, because you'll recognize it's not the you that you think you are, but that's the place that houses in all of these thoughts and that are bouncing around. It's kind of like a pinball machine at times, and I can find it even comical in moments of really challenging things to go, oh my gosh.
But you don't have to be attached to either side. You just notice it.
And you got to be in your body to do that. You got to know how to bring yourself back inside this amazing body. And no matter what shape or size or physical form you're in, you have an amazing body. Bring yourself back into it and get present and really learn how to get quiet.
So when you say get into your body, what does that mean for you? Like, how would you describe that?
I feel like that's a challenging one. We spend so much time living not alive. Like, we really are the walking dead. We don't have an appreciation of what it feels like to move in our bodies. We don't give love and appreciation to them. They're just here, like lumbering around, and we're all out here. But when we can come in and we feel like, when I say that now, I automatically go to the river. We put together a river retreat, and we were floating the Maine salmon, and we did it in inflatable kayaks. And I really had to be present inside of myself. It was a place, it's like where my mind and my body and my soul all had to be together. Especially after I had the opportunity to swim through a big rapid, and having the fear of that in my mind as I was approaching other memories. And I remember saying to myself, get in your body, be present with every action. Know what's going on. Be intentional with your movements. I'm doing this because this is what I was doing. And the breathing was intentional. The breathing brings us back to present. It brings us into our bodies. And it's this space where we can then, the word intentional, we can be intentional in our thoughts and in our actions. And instead of just lumbering and going, oh, what the hell just happened? You go, I know what just happened because I was present. I made a decision in the moment and being present. So it's just a way to bring mind and heart and gut into coherence. You totally knew I was going to do that.
Yeah. Well, and it makes me think of the places where if I'm tripping or dropping things or running into things, you'll ask me like, where are you right now? I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm right here. And you're like, no, you're not present. And it really makes me take a step back to say, okay, where am I actually? Because it's so automatic. We have so many patterns and habits of how we do things that we go into them and we don't even know what we're doing. But I think one for me that helps me get into my body is the breathing. We talk about this a lot on the podcast, Living Courageously Exposed, of just like, we always start that with a breathing exercise. I love the just noticing your breath and imagining it going down through your lungs and all the way down, breathe right into your sit bones. We had that interview with Brandy, and I loved how she described that. And, just what does your clothing feel like on your skin? What is, wiggle your toes around. How are they feeling? And I remember when you first started asking me, I had just started running again, and you asked me, well, how did it feel in your body? And that was such a foreign concept to me. I'm like, it feels fine. And it wasn't until I started to actually pay attention that I realized, I had some soreness in a knee, or I had some low back stuff going on. So to give it attention, to give it, give it the extra attention it needs, whether it's stretching or heat or whatever.
I call it loving attention.
Yes, loving attention.
Loving on our bodies.
In our next video about thanking our bodies, we'll go a little bit more into.
So I think that's a really beautiful way to kind of start wrapping this one up is the giving love to all of our body parts. And are we going to talk about that more fully? And we'll leave that one right here, just loving all your body parts. But as we bring this around, just as getting quiet and getting in your body is just recognizing when things don't feel right. Like when you're feeling like extra brain fog, like, is it because you're feeling extra brain fog, or are you outside of yourself? Can you switch that by like just bringing yourself to present, like getting quiet, put your hand on your heart, create that connection. I love am I dropping things? Am I bumping into things? Am I, whatever that thing, am I stubbing my toe a whole bunch and going, whoa, am I in awareness? If you're not in your body, you're not in awareness. And start practicing those kinds of things.
I mean, notice the places where you just have a feel with people, or something they say or do causes your body to react, and you don't always understand consciously what that is, but your body is giving you a warning sign, or maybe it's a positive sign, or just saying, hey, pay attention, like there's something here. I really like the asking yourself, if you're not sure what's going on, or you're struggling with a decision or whatever, like ask yourself and then just stay quiet to hear the answer. Or
what is it that you're asking yourself?
Whatever, like, now I'm drawing a blank for an example. Like if something's feeling off, what about this feels off for me? I practice this a lot in my writing. If I'm not sure how I'm feeling about something, like what is it about that, I'll write down what about this is bothering me, or what would, myself in a year from now think of this. And it's crazy, the stream of consciousness, that if you just let yourself write it without judging, just let your inner guidance do it for you. It's amazing how that lets go.
I absolutely love that. And again, just kind of like adding on to the asking yourself, one thing that I do in my practice of being in awareness and getting quiet and in my body is like, if I notice something coming on, I'll ask myself, what's going on? Do I need to be sick? Like, do I need to have sickness in order to get this lesson? Or I'll say, is it important for me to know what the consternation is or what the feeling is? Or do I need to just feel the emotion, let it move through my body and move out? And the reality is sometimes I need to not feel good because there's a lot of shiz in there. And we've been having this discussion because yesterday was a really crappy feeling day in my body. And today feel much better. And it's that sometimes stuff just needs to move through and it feels like sickness when in reality it could possibly just be the body detoxing deep emotions and deep feelings that have been hanging on that feel like sickness. And so ask yourself, is it important or do I need to be sick in order to figure this out? Or do I need to even have an understanding of what it is, or do I just need to feel it out?
And I wonder with you, just because of how quickly you moved through that, because you were a wreck yesterday, like fevered, body aches, like
I felt horrible.
it was painful to watch. And I thought, oh, she's going to need at least a few days to recover, and then for you to like bounce back as well as you have. And we were out today, and we went for a good long walk. Like that was really surprising, but it makes me think, is it because you have that awareness and you know that's part of the process of clearing old stuff out, excuse me, that it can move through you easier.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up because I do think that can happen as well. Sometimes it's going to take what it needs, but a lot of times if we don't fight it, like I did my best just to feel it, because a lot of times when I don't feel good, I want to fight it. And what happened yesterday is there were a lot of tears, like a lot of emotions, and I just let them come. I just let stuff move through. And I do think that things do move through quickly when we allow ourselves to get quiet and be in our bodies, even when it's really, really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I love it. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Oh my God.